Welcome to episode 3 of our definitive ranking of The Legend of Zelda.
Very controversial list based on the comments.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're going through. We've been ranking every Zelda game randomly, pulling it out of our chalice here.
Licensed
material. Yeah, it's also a collection video. So yeah, we're going to do 4 more today. We're going to talk about them. We're going to rank them. We both have our Nehru's Love power still, which allows us to definitively place a game on the list. We'll give a quick rundown of what we got so far.
So, at the top, we got Oracle of Ages, Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link, Link's Awakening, Phantom Hourglass, Oracle of Seasons, Spirit Tracks, Twilight Princess, and The Wind Waker.
Yeah.
At the bottom of our list.
At the bottom of our list.
And we heard you in the comments, so yeah.
But it's definitive.
Yeah.
So.
And this is our definitive list.
Which is definitive.
Yes.
So let's get it started. We got 4 to rank today, so. Oh boy.
Ocarina of Time.
This is one of the highest rated video games of all time. It's hard to just like start talking about this game for me.
We've been talking about it for the better part of the last year.
Yeah.
We went to the book club about this. We went to war over Ocarina.
Jamie played it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like clearly we love this game, right?
Yeah.
Or we wouldn't agree to play this for hours upon end.
A viewer of our channel might think, I thought this was a Zelda channel, not an Ocarina of Time channel.
Yeah, it's hard to just like throw out what I think, because I think it's a great Zelda game, obviously.
So Ocarina does almost everything right.
I agree, yeah.
It's got awesome dungeons. The world is... It's condensed a little bit, but it still feels open, especially for the time. Mm-hmm. Like, once you walk out into Hyrule Field, you got some,
Yeah, it definitely has its, like, weaknesses in the overworld department. Like, there's not in that proper Hyrule Field. There's a couple grottos and stuff, but it's not, like, brimming with stuff to do.
Yeah, at the time that it came out, it felt so grand and open. But when you look at it in hindsight, especially compared to modern open world games or Breath of the Wild, it's tiny. Mm-hmm. But it was great. The soundtrack was fantastic.
Soundtrack, I mean, most of those songs are what people think of when they think of Zelda tunes,
Yeah, I like the cast of characters are awesome. The inventory is awesome. I mean, it is oftentimes considered one of the greatest Zelda games ever.
I think, for me, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
There are certain days where I feel like that might be the case, too.
So, I'm going to cut to the chase.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need to debate this too much. I love Oracle of Ages.
Yeah.
And I would fight to the death.
You would die for that game?
For Oracle of Ages. I am borderline ready to use my Nehru's Love to put this second. But I think Ocarina of Time is a superior game than Oracle of Ages.
Okay. I 100% agree. You want to know our thoughts on it? Check out our Hyrule Compendium. We've done a lot of topics where we've talked about what game does this thing best or this thing best, and Ocarina of Time almost always comes up.
Yeah.
So just check that out, and you'll get hours of us talking about it. Zelda Warfare, hours of us playing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I 100% agree.
Despite the name Ocarina of Time, Oracle of Ages still does a better time element than Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, we mentioned that in the Ocarina of Time kind of splits hairs a little bit. That's I think another flaw with it, but also it's like the main actual gimmick of it is that it's a 3D Zelda game. And it introduced a lot of things that I think ended up in these later games like Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, like concepts that they took too far, but I think the way they implemented them in Ocarina of Time is perfect.
And it also introduced a lot of, like in Oracle of Ages, there's the whole Goron race in the Rolling Ridge region, and there's the whole Zora race in the Zora Village. These are all characters and races that were introduced.
There haven't been many to come along and like solidify their spot.
Yeah,
like that.
I mean, there's a dungeon in Oracle of Ages titled Inside Jabu Jabu.
Yes,
and he's Lord Jabu Jabu.
In as far as Zoras go, it made Zoras the way we see them today.
Yes,
and not just enemies.
The River Zola.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, number 1.
Okay. Sorry, Oracle of Ages. You had a run.
You had a great run.
Yeah.
You beat out.
You know,
You tempted by Nehru's love here?
You know, if this was an hour-long segment, I would argue for Oracle of Ages.
Okay. I get what you're saying.
I know, but it's like I can acknowledge that it is a losing argument, but an argument nonetheless. All right, next on the list.
Oh boy.
The Minish Cap.
Okay. Minish Cap. Okay, I'll say this. Minish Cap is almost, to me, the reverse of Ocarina of Time. Not in that it does everything wrong, but it just kind of like does a bunch of Zelda stuff. But to me, it doesn't do much farther than that. It's kind of like, yeah, we did all the things you almost expect from Zelda.
Yeah, I feel like comparing it to some of the this was Oracle of Seasons that come out a few years before, and you know, graphically it is superior. It has a lot of the same elements as Oracle of Seasons.
You think it's superior to Seasons?
No,
graphically.
No. Well, it had. Technologically, it was
technologically,
superior. Yeah,
but
it was not
think,
an 8-bit game or whatever.
I think one still looks better to look at than now, and I think that's Seasons.
Okay,
I like.
Yeah, perhaps. I think Oracle of Seasons is a little duller. This has a brighter color scheme.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'd be willing to say Oracle of Seasons looks better, but I do think it looks cleaner.
Yeah, that's basically what I mean. Like, some of the Minish Cap sprites, they like took stuff from like Wind Waker, other games, and like tried to make them into Minish Cap sprites, and it looks like really kind of forced and stuff.
Yeah. I feel that the Game Boy Advance hardware, in some cases, limited Minish Cap, because I actually think the music in Minish Cap is the weakest soundtrack in the whole game. And I don't even know if it's the music itself, but it's the sound card of the Game Boy Advance. Like, everything feels staticky a little bit.
It sounds like you're listening to it on, like, blown speakers or something.
Blown speakers on AM radio.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I think of when I think of the Minish Cap soundtrack. It has its a few highlights, but few and far between.
It's got an okay overworld.
It's very segmented.
Yeah.
It's sort of got that Twilight Princess element of where you look at the map and it's like, sure, you start, in Castle Town, but you can't, or in Hyrule Town. In Hyrule Town, you can't go anywhere because it sort of limits you. You got to go to the castle, and then you get to the castle. You do that initial like storyline, and then it sort of guides you. You got to go through the Long Lawn. You got to get to the Minish Village, and you can't go back to Castle Town because there's a detour, and like later on when you're going towards the second dungeon, you open up like it's like little paths just open up. Unlike a game, say, like A Link to the Past, where right from the get-go, once you beat, the sewer area, you can go to 90% of the world. You might not be able to do anything in most of those areas, or there's only little things to do, but you can go there. You can explore. Minish Cap exploration doesn't exist in this game, really.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few caves that are hidden here and there, but it's one of the more linear games in the series, and not that that's always a bad thing, but to me, it loses some of the exploration as some of the other Zelda games.
I mean, you can almost say this to me. You can say it about almost any aspect that it's okay. To me, the story is okay. Vati is okay. He could potentially be a cool villain, but in this, he's okay. Eslo, he's okay.
I wouldn't say so. He's the most annoying companion in the series.
But that's like his character. As far as what it means for his character, it's okay. It's how it's implemented.
Yeah.
To me, it is the most aggressively okay Zelda game.
Yes. So Minish Cap is, to me, the best game to ever release on the Game Boy Advance. But I put it the lowest on my Zelda list.
I agree. This has been way easier to do than I thought.
These two have been pretty easy. So Minish Cap slides in
below. So there, Wind Waker is not the worst Zelda game.
Yeah, it's been dethroned.
But Minish Cap is now the worst Zelda game. So.
Okay, we've got two more to go. No controversy this episode.
Controversy.
At all.
We haven't really had much controversy either.
It's still early. We got 6 more Zelda games to pick.
Some hot titles.
All right.
Oh my goodness.
Here comes the first of many, I think.
Okay.
Breath
of the Wild.
So, like, in terms of scope and size, this game outshines everything.
Yes.
It's so hard to compare Link's Awakening to Breath of the Wild.
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
how do you even begin? This, throughout most of the Zelda formula, it's totally, radically different.
Yeah.
It's such a long and bulky game. You can play for hundreds of hours and still not complete everything.
Yeah.
Yet, I feel it has lost some of what made Zelda, Zelda.
Okay.
It surely reinvented the series a little bit, and we'll see where that takes us in the future.
Yeah. I also think in like 2 years from now, where I mean our list would obviously change anyway. I think like opinions change, but I think my opinion of this game will radically shift.
Yeah.
Depending on just maybe not even what the next game is, but just thinking about it more.
Yeah.
Even thinking about this the past year, I've been like, it's one of the best. It's got some flaws. It's one of the best, like.
It's the Zelda cycle. It's gone fully through it. We've talked about it in depth, I think. My opinion of this game in March of 2017 compared to June of 2017 and now here in summer of 2018 is totally different.
If I had to describe this game in one word, I would say awesome.
Okay.
This is an awesome game. So it has some flaws, I think, and we've talked about them a lot. Both of us have been accused of not liking this game, but for me, it is actually one of my favorite Zelda games. But I will say it does have some flaws, and it's missing some stuff that I like about Zelda, but I don't necessarily know for sure yet, even, if it outweighs, like, some of the things it introduced. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely would agree that it is missing some things that I really like about Zelda.
So the flaws, I've pointed these out half a dozen times now. The dungeons, I don't think it has it. It's missing it.
Yes.
We needed one or two traditional dungeons in here, and they could have easily put that in there. They chose not to.
Yeah.
Inventory, we're missing a whole range of items that used to be staples in the series that are not here. Now, some of them are, like, you can get boomerangs.
Yeah.
You can get a fire rod. They've lost their charm in this game. I don't feel they're as significant or as powerful. A lot of it has to do with the system, though. You lose your swords right away. You lose your arrows, your bows right away.
Okay. Well, I will say, so to the dungeons, I agree with that. But also, the idea of these shrines everywhere, to me, is maybe there's too many, and maybe some of them are, there's too many combat ones or whatever.
40 of them, I think, are tests of strength or whatever.
But I still think there's a huge variety of them all over, and they have fun little challenges. To me, there's a give and take there almost a little bit. To me, that doesn't mean I hope this is how they do it from now on. But I do at least like that idea they introduced, and I think it's really fun to encounter some of these shrines. They have really unique puzzles. That ties into also the inventory, I think. Maybe some of the charm is lost in the item itself, but I think there's a huge charm in looking up, like, you can look up videos on how someone solved the shrine, and it can be so silly and so funny. Like some of the stuff people have come up with that's really goofy, but a clever solution. Yeah. I think there's a lot of charm in the, like, uniqueness of the puzzle solutions that they've come up with.
The introduction of stasis and we've had magnesis to an extent with the magnetic gloves and Oracle Seasons and whatnot, but this took it to a new level. And it was like a sandbox game. It was like, do what you want. Yeah. Like, the developers, I don't know if we meant for this to happen, but we meant for the player to be able to do stuff we didn't think of. Right. I'm sure they thought of that.
Absolutely, yeah. Those are, you were kind of in the middle of some flaws, but those are kind of my rebuttals to those flaws. Yeah, that there is a positive thing. I know you had some more, probably.
I do feel that with the Zelda series, sometimes they have an idea that they like, and then they use it too much. Okay. And I feel that happened with this game a little bit. Where the shrines, let's talk, 120 shrines, is it too many? I don't know. But when you get to a shrine and it's like, let's see modest test of strength. I just did a major test of strength and beat the crap out of that guy. Yeah. What is this? Oh, sure, yeah. Like, there's no progression. Like, what? And is it fun still? I don't know. And then there's too many of the same enemies in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fun when you're on the greatest plateau fighting the bokoblins, some of those initial ones, and then you see that first like black bokoblin. It's super powerful. It's like, you stay away from me. But then by the time you've destroyed the 700th bokoblin, you don't want to deal with them anymore.
The camps aren't fun. You can kind of similarly say, like about the like overworld like bosses there are.
Yeah.
But they're still pretty cool.
Yeah,
the bosses are cool. They're always going to be cool, I think.
Breath of the Wild has a lot of shock value when you see that first Lionel. It's like, oh my goodness, they brought Lionels back.
Yeah.
And you're stoked.
Yeah.
You know, I love it. And then and later on, it's like, oh god, there's a Lionel, you got to run away. And
or a Guardian.
Yes, the Guardians. There's there's whole sectors of the world you want to avoid if you're not powered up. I mean, it has its positives. The towns, we've talked about
The towns are amazing.
Yeah, probably the best towns. You know, we talked about the weakness of the towns.
They're populated with people. Also, I want to say, tying in with the shrines and like what you do in the overworld, some of them have like unique quests to get to the shrines, and that all adds to the shock value of the first time you go to the Forgotten Temple, is it? And it's just filled with, you know, they have a lot of cool moments like that, or a smaller moment where you have to avoid the flowers to get that's so memorable, you know, avoiding the flowers. Or
if you have Rivali's Gale, you can just ditch all of that, jump right over.
Yeah. So
the paraglider is one of the greatest items in the series.
It definitely gives up some stuff, but it also adds a lot of unique stuff. I'd like to see where it goes from here, but to me, just the shock value of it is great.
So let's cut to the chase. We sort of have these divided in two here. I definitely think it fits on the left column.
Yes.
So I think it is superior to Minish Cap, Wind Waker, Twilight, Spirit Tracks, Oracle Seasons.
Okay.
I'm going to say it's above Phantom Hourglass.
Yes.
I'm going to say it's above Link's Awakening.
Yes.
I'm going to say it's above Zelda 2 Adventure of Link.
Please.
If it's third.
If it's third. This is one of those things where it's like comparing it to Oracle of Ages. How do you do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's such a large game compared to a game that's pretty large in of itself with Oracle of Ages, with the dual worlds, 8 dungeons, a whole cast of characters, especially when you consider the linked game content of Oracle of Ages as well, with the extra dungeons, and you get characters from seasons coming over, and all of the linked game secrets. You know, there's all sorts of post-game content where, you know, you can get the big Goron sword, you can get, I don't know if you know, there's bomb chews in Oracle of Ages, and there's the connectivity of the world.
I don't want to just like flat out agree with you, but I also know Oracle of Ages is one of your favorite games. Your favorite game, maybe.
You don't want to put it over Oracle of Ages, do you? You don't want to put Oracle of Ages over.
Not.
You know what? You don't need to make that decision, because I am casting Nehru's love.
Oh my goodness.
And say that I will not allow Breath of the Wild to get ranked over my precious Oracle of Ages. Okay.
You have secured the Breath
You have
of the
to
Wild.
honor Nehru's love.
I will never put Breath of the Wild above Oracle of Ages.
So.
Okay. I'm okay with this, because like I said, as long as it stays in the top 5, I think I'll be okay with it. Here's what I'll say to agree with you. Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's going to stay in the top 5. We'll see.
We'll see, I guess. Oracle of Ages feels like the pinnacle of developing that classic Zelda style. Like, tracing it from the Legend of Zelda to that. It feels like they... over the games, they improved upon them almost. Well, I mean, we'll see when maybe a Link to the Past is that. But you know what I'm saying, especially handheld wise. And then Minish Cap came out, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild feels like the Legend of Zelda of what is to come.
Yes, I agree completely.
We'll see if they actually do that. If they make A Link to the Past or Ocarina of Time to our Breath of the Wild.
Or it could be the Spirit Tracks to its Phantom Hourglass, where it's better in a lot of things, but then, like, you know, when we make our definitive list, we think, well, the originality of the original one kept it above it. But the show must go on here.
Yeah.
We've got one more.
Okay, that was fun. A little debate there.
I gave up on Ocarina, but no.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Skyward Sword.
Oh, okay.
Okay. If our list hasn't been controversial enough, this is probably, I think, the most split opinion game in the series, divisive game.
My first initial thoughts with this one, when I first saw it, other than like, oh, how's the motion controls work, was like, wow, it's got a really cool style. And until Breath of the Wild came out, I thought it had one of the best styles.
Yeah, I love the brightness of it. It's got that Wind Waker charm to it a little bit, but it's more less anime looking, I guess.
It's somewhere in between that and Twilight Princess.
Yeah,
maybe more on the Wind Waker side.
Yeah, I do feel that graphically it has not held up very well. If you play it on a modern day TV with,
graphically, yeah, but style, like they should do, I think it
needs to be polished up a little bit. It needs a
re-release, I think. Yeah,
I think it is the definitive story in the Zelda series. I think I love the storyline. I love there's
a
linear
lot there.
progression.
There's a lot there, yeah. Musically, I think it's one of the best.
Underrated too. Like I agree. I don't know, like. When we were compiling our greatest Zelda songs of all time, I listened to the soundtrack and I'm like, it's like gem after gem on this soundtrack. And a lot of songs that they only play in small, isolated areas, sort of like Breath of the Wild, actually.
Yeah.
Where people like think of, oh, Breath of the Wild I can't think of many of the songs. But then you listen to just the songs isolated and you're like, wow.
And they're amazing.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
And I feel Skyward Sword has that. And I think Fi's theme is fantastic in all the different variants of it. I love the Lanayru Sand Sea. That's an awesome theme. The Isle of Song and Thunderhead is great.
The biggest flaw maybe is the kind of overworldy.
The world, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's important to me. When you look at our list, I've knocked Minish Cap for being what I thought an isolated world. I've isolated Wind Waker as being an empty world. Twilight Princess as being an empty world. On the flip side, I've praised both Ocarina and Oracle of Ages as having an awesome overworld with dual worlds and love the exploration. I feel Zelda and exploration have always gone hand to hand. And Skyward Sword might be the worst game in the series in terms of exploration.
Yes, yeah, I agree. Dungeons, though. I think it has some great dungeons.
Yes, it does.
In fact, some of them would be on like my favorite dungeons list.
The first time I played through the Sand Ship, I was blown away. And maybe I have some sort of fetish with time here, but I loved the back and forth with you every time you shot that orb. It put the area in the past and then in the present. And I loved how even the landscape of just that dungeon and how you had to use the element of time in that dungeon. And that was a very small dungeon when you think about the pure square footage.
Yeah.
There's not that many rooms in there, not that many floors, but I liked the diversity of it and the diversity of gameplay, I should say.
Yeah.
And there's combat and then there was some unique puzzle solving with that.
Yeah. And it had a lot of cool big rooms we've talked about. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, some of the Lanayru mining facility had that giant open room, I should say.
We've talked about the story. That's all cool characters. We've got Groose, Girahim, all that stuff. Goes without saying almost. What do you think about the controls, the actual controls? Because that's a sticking point for a lot of people.
Yeah,
but we should get our feelings out there.
I always felt the controls were okay.
Yeah.
To me, they were not a deterrent, and I don't think they were a positive, though.
I'll agree with that.
The controls kind of limited gameplay a little bit, though. So early on in the game, when you got down to the ground and you fought your first Deku Baba, I loved it.
Yeah,
because it was like,
cool.
This is a new style of fighting him because he opens his mouth this way, so you can't just wail at him.
Yeah, it's gotta strategic a little bit.
And then there was like the Quadra Babas that open up either way, and you had to align your hits strategically.
Yeah.
First dungeon you fought Stalfos or Stallmaster,
right? And
he's blocking two ways, and then later on in the Ancient Cistern you fight a Stalfos that has 4 arms, and you got to strategically fight him a little bit, and I like that. The problem though came with you fight the Bokoblins, and then later on you fight blue Bokoblins that are just slightly stronger. and then you fight the cursed bokoblins, and then you fight the techno bokoblins who are just electrified.
Right.
And it sort of had that Breath of the Wild syndrome of these are the same enemies, they're just different variants. And I felt that the gameplay never advanced other than slightly tweaking the difficulty of enemies early, from the early to mid game. And it just never went any further. And I think because of the control system, they couldn't do any sort of super elaborate enemies or bosses.
Right. Yeah. Like the control thing almost sought to fix like the combat of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess is you don't even really think about what you're doing. You're just like, kill it. Maybe you can do a cool move and you're like, that's cool, but there's no strategy. This tried to introduce some strategy to the combat, but I don't think it was the answer.
Yeah.
I think Breath of the Wild was the answer for me.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I do feel that there's some repetition with a lot of things in this game. So you fight bokoblins, you're fighting the same style throughout the game. Every time you fight them. You fight some of the bosses multiple times. The Imprisoned, Girahim, and a lot.
Boy, yeah.
Girahim, the battles changed slightly, but not too much between the first and second one. Yeah. Then on the flip side, you fight Coloctus, who is one of the most triumphant experiences of my life.
It's awesome, yeah.
I stand up every time I fight him. He's got the 6 arms wailing at you. And God, I love that. So it's got its highs and lows. And I think that's why it's such a divisive game, too. Because people think of the negatives and they hate it. And then think of the charm of the... there's parts in this game that brought me to tears at times.
Well, where would you put it?
I definitely think it's on the bottom end of the spectrum.
I agree. I'm gonna say this is not where I'm placing it, but I think it goes above Twilight Princess for me, actually, because Twilight Princess, like those dungeons, there's a lot of cool highlights in the dungeons, but I think some of the dungeons in Skyward Sword the peak is higher.
Okay.
Twilight Princess maybe as a whole is better, but to me, Skyward Sword, it really peaks with some of the cool dungeons. And it looks better, I think, or at least style-wise. So I'm saying it's better than Twilight Princess. I don't know how you feel about that.
That is exactly where I have it.
Oh, where you have it?
Pinpointed to the dot.
Okay.
I think it is...
Well, maybe we can put it there. I think it might be better than Spirit Tracks.
I feel that I can argue it can go either way with that one. I feel that the positives of Skyward Sword are the games that are in this area of games that we're looking at, Phantom Hourglass, Oracle Seasons, Spirit Tracks, Twilight Princess. The highlights of Skyward Sword are far superior than anything here.
Okay.
But its low points are perhaps lower than any of them.
My personal feeling is I want to put it above Spirit Tracks.
I think I can concede that one.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, let's do that then.
So Skyward Sword, sorry Spirit Tracks, knocked down the peg.
And because Oracle of Seasons, I think, is so solid.
Yeah, it does. Whereas Oracle of Seasons is steady throughout. It doesn't have. I don't think it has any low points actually.
Yeah,
I don't think there's much wrong with Oracle of Seasons at all.
It's just that it's like a better version of what the Minish Cap wanted to be. It's like
it came out years earlier as well.
Yeah.
So Skyward Sword, I think every game on this list, from Skyward Sword downward, has its set of flaws that are notable flaws.
Yes.
Except actually maybe Minish Cap, but we sort of talked about that. It's just so lukewarm.
It's lukewarm, yeah.
So I think Skyward Sword might be the best of some of the more flawed games.
Yes. Wow. Okay, so now we've got quite a list starting to form.
Yes. Okay,
so we've got Ocarina of Time up top, Oracle of Ages, Breath of the Wild, Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. Remember when that was number 1? Link's Awakening. That's our top 5 so far.
Yeah.
Then we got Phantom Hourglass, Oracle of Seasons, Skyward Sword, Spirit Tracks, Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, Minish Cap. The mid-lower tier games.
This is almost my list right now.
There's not much I would really change about this, really, to be honest.
Wow.
I would put maybe Breath of the Wild above Ages, but I agree that that's a great game.
Well, I neighbors loved it.
You neighbors loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think we've got similar opinions here so far.
So we know what the final 4 games are. But we don't know what order they're going to come out, and we don't know where they're going to be placed.
All right. So, yeah, tune in to our final episode of our definitive ranking of Zeldas. Leave a comment with your definitive ranking, but ours is more definitive.
Yes.
Give us a like if you enjoyed this video. Check out some of our other videos. Subscribe, all that. And thanks for watching.